Okay, welcome to the podcast Business and Technology in Tennessee. I'm Josh Davis, the Marketing Director at InfoSystems, and I have a special guest with me today, Hodgen Mainda from EPB, that's Electric Power Board of City of Chattanooga. And obviously EPB has played a crucial role in what we would describe now as the technology scene or the IT or technology landscape in the city of Chattanooga. And before we get going in a technology discussion, a lot of times I like to introduce a little personal info from my guests. And in this case, because I know you pretty well, I happen to know something about you that maybe others in Chattanooga might not.
Okay.
And we were both alums of the same college,
Yeah.
MTSU.
Yep.
And I just happened to, because we had a mutual friend that we discovered, I happen to know that you have a background of rugby.
Yep.
So before we talk technology,
Yeah.
let's talk sports a little bit and just
Yeah.
hear, how did you get involved in rugby in the first place, and tell me a little about your rugby background.
Yeah. So the rugby days date back to flag touch rugby back as a kid. Growing up, we had a choice. I'm originally from Nairobi, Kenya, born and raised, and moved to the United States 22 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But back in middle school, you had a choice of either rugby or soccer.
Yeah.
And I played a little bit of soccer, but I tried rugby and I caught the rugby bug and played all through middle school and into high school.
Nice.
Was the captain of my high school rugby team and was fortunate to get a partial scholarship at Middle Tennessee State. Who would have thought that they had rugby scholarships at MTSU? But
Yeah.
MTSU in the South is one of the elite college rugby teams.
You just say that because you were on the team, right?
But they still currently are.
Yeah.
So played at MTSU and played for the Nashville Rugby Club, living in Nashville, but unfortunately I succumbed to injuries and 2 torn ACLs. I had to start focusing on my career. So,
Yeah, well, that might not have been such a bad thing.
Yeah.
Imagine where you would have been today
Yeah.
if rugby was your top focus
I know. Yeah.
all those years.
Yeah.
Well, that's just an interesting tidbit about Hodgen Mainda for those who may not have that personal insight. He's a former MTSU Blue Raider rugby player.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little about your role at EPB.
Yeah.
You've been in your role for a little over 2 years now, and you're Vice President of Community Relations.
Community Development
At EPB. So I assume that the biggest daily task on your plate is playing golf with local and state officials. Is that a good assumption?
I do love to play golf and do sometimes have the opportunity to play through EPB and what we do in our community. But I guess day to day, there are a couple things, Josh, actually 3 things.
Yeah.
One, when I started at EPB 2 years ago, my CEO, current CEO, David Wade, recruited me and said, I'm starting a new division, community development, and I want you to focus on 3 things that I think we can do better.
Yeah.
Our government relations, local, state, and federal. We need to enhance our relationships, strengthen our relationships. We're regulated, a lot of what we do, we're regulated at the federal level, but policies changed at the state level that affect our day-to-day business.
Sure.
And also we are part of the city, so there are things that city council or the mayor's office do that will affect us. So we need to have great relationships there.
Yeah.
The second piece was economic development. Our mission at EPB is simple: enhancing quality of life and growing our local economy.
Yeah.
If our local economy is doing well, we're able to continue providing power, and hopefully that customer who's growing or starting a business or when we're recruiting will get our fiber optic business.
Sure.
And we've been fortunate that the community has been really good to us, and that's been really profitable.
Yeah, and you all had a few pretty significant milestones that you celebrated recently with number of customers, I think.
Yeah, 10 years into it, we've got over 100,000 customers.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so it's been really well received, and again, we strive to provide good customer service, and I think that's really paid off really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If your focus is the customer, then that's going to serve your business well.
Yeah. Because I mean, our competitors have the same product.
Yeah.
Right? But at the end of the day, when a customer picks up the phone and calls the 423-648-1370, they know where that call's going.
Right.
And if they need to come see us, they know where to go. And so everything we do at EPB is based on customer delivery, and that's why we're existing.
Yeah.
And then real quick, Josh, the third thing is engagement in our community, giving back. We want to be good corporate stewards, and so we take that really importantly. And I came up with 5 focus areas, but for today's discussion, one of our focus areas is growing the local economy or economic development with a focus on entrepreneurship.
Yeah. And you can see some of those community development projects, like the redevelopment of Miller Park.
Oh yeah.
Which EPB was instrumental in, and you see the EPB banners over at Miller Plaza, and you guys do a lot to help increase quality of life and give back to the community. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. So before we head down the direction of talking more of the economic development, workforce development, and some of those things, I just wanted to get your take from where you sit on sort of like a snapshot of where do you think Chattanooga is today, and then maybe some visionary type stuff of where we really as a community hope to be in the future. But let's focus this in, and entrepreneurship is part of where I'm headed, but even maybe a little more narrow focus on technology. So companies that are launching that are, the technology that they deliver is a key component, or companies that serve the technology space. I mean, ultimately, most businesses can get lumped in here because most businesses are consumers of technology these days. But what's your perception of our region as a tech-forward region?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm going to take you kind of let's go back a little bit. We are really involved with the chamber on a lot of things. If the chamber is doing their job, which is recruiting businesses and helping local businesses grow, our missions align, right? And so we've partnered on several things with the chamber. When the new CEO, Christy, was recruited, I was on the search committee, and we had 5 or 6 great candidates, and she walked in the room, and the 10-person committee was wowed by her because of not only the way she presented her knowledge, but also the questions she had for us.
Sure.
And she really challenged us with, where is Chattanooga and where do you want to see Chattanooga? And so that kind of, when she left, we asked ourselves, where are we going? So she came in and really wanted intentionality on economic development strategy for the chamber. But then she took it a step further and said, when did the community do a visioning session, or when did we do a vision, a 20-year vision? Where do we want to see our community go? So we just recently concluded a visioning process. That data is online on velocity2040.com. So it's a 20-year vision. We had over I think it was over 1,500 surveys completed. They may be a little more. No, actually over 3,500 surveys completed. I'm sorry. From folks in Alton Park, Hickson, I mean, all over the community. We canvassed using United Way's footprint. The mayors were really engaged, but a few key things came from that survey with opportunity for all: economic growth, economic mobility, transportation, and whatnot. So the chamber took that and said, for us, we're going to come up with a 5-year economic development strategy based on that. And so that's kind of what we're building now. Long story short, we've, as a community, have come so far, and I'll say one of the catalysts to where we are right now was the fiber optic system that EPB put in over a decade ago.
Yeah.
Right? And so we're at the point where we're now asking ourselves, we have the gig, what do we do with it?
Yeah.
Right? And so we've had some companies come to us because of the gig, right? Because of the infrastructure here, the quality of life, the gig, cost of living, what have you. But also intentionally, we've really not taken advantage, or we've really not dug deep into what industry sectors can we really target. Who would really need gigabit connectivity from a geographic location? You know, we're close to Atlanta, we're close to Nashville, but also really unique because we have a good quality and low cost of living here compared to those two cities. So I hope I've answered your question with, you know, we need intentionality on sector targets, on big and small, on who really needs the infrastructure and the assets we have here. I did bring you something, and you may know a few of these companies.
Oh yeah, I recognize most, if not all.
Yeah, I use this page on a lot of presentations I give.
Yeah.
Around EPB and what we've done. And for those who are listening and cannot see, I've got the gig network is a catalyst for tech startups and job creation. Over the last decade, we've created, based on a study that UTC College of Business did, we've created 5,200 plus new jobs during the first 5 years of the gig network. So Incubator, Lampos Group was started, Colab, VaynerMedia came here, opened. They've got an office in Chicago, New York, and Chattanooga.
Yeah.
Reliance Partners, Squid, Dynamo, Branch Technologies, Bellhop, Steam Logistics. And I'm going to talk a little bit about International Maritime Security Associates.
Yeah.
These guys, Josh, if you would like a tech company to come here and be on your show, all of these guys are great, but these guys are really unique. They are both veterans.
I remember seeing information about them. It was in one of the awards in the past 2 to 3 years. I think they won the Spirit of Innovation Award, maybe?
Either one or they were finalists. One of the two, but they are just unique. They, got out of the military. That's where they met, and really found that there was a gap between intelligence being sent to vessels out in sea, and they thought that they could do it better, and they're doing a whole lot with vessels at sea internationally, but they needed good, reliable gigabit speeds, but not only speeds, but also reliable electricity. And they Googled it and came up with Chattanooga, and they paid us a visit, toured EPB. And again, this goes to tell you what our community is. They called the chamber rolled out the red carpet. No idea who these guys were. Yeah. They had a good experience in Chattanooga, and 2 months later, they moved here. Yep. And so they've started a company doing international work.
And you know, the gig is great. It's a fantastic attraction piece, and it's part of the story. But you know, several other of the things you mentioned play just as crucial of a role. One is affordable power. Yeah. I mean, businesses, especially, you know, you can see the equipment behind us. This stuff consumes a lot of power. Yeah. And so to have consistent, highly available, reliable, affordable power
and resilient
is a big deal for companies today. And you know, the interstates, the logistics, the connectivity to the cities you mentioned, and the cost of living, and just, you know, the overall quality of life here. Yeah. All of those things are just, I mean, to me, Chattanooga is top of the chart as far as a combination of all of those things. Yeah. Do we have the infrastructure to support, you know, like an Amazon headquarters like Nashville can? Yeah. We're not there yet. Yeah. But we're heading in the right direction.
Exactly.
So, And
Yeah.
you know what's missing on this list right here. And I'll do a little self-promotion here.
Sure.
It's hard for a company that we're celebrating our 25th anniversary this year at InfoSystems. So we've been, originally we were the computer networking division of a separate company that sold typewriters and office equipment. And the computer division spun out into its own company, InfoSystems, and that was 25 years ago in March.
Wow.
So we just passed our 25th birthday. But what a lot of people don't realize is we launched a new startup company 3 years ago that does cloud services. And I'm going to take you on a tour of our building in a little while, but their infrastructure is in the back corner of InfoSystems building. The company is called APSU. And the connectivity we have here in Chattanooga allows us to install monitoring agents on customer equipment. And we're monitoring 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year from our facility here. People all over the country, customer equipment all over the country.
So what does APSU stand for?
It's just a mashup of two former businesses. I think it was like Apex Computers and Superior Systems or something, and they came together and they just took the AP and the SU. And so it doesn't really stand for anything. But in addition to that, we're in process of launching another new cloud startup company called ZPX Solutions that's going to launch probably in the right at the beginning of the second half of this year. And it's going to be delivering another subset of cloud services to a very, very high-end enterprise clientele. So kind of disaster recovery cloud services for enterprise businesses.
Which is needed, right?
Huge. It's huge. And the companies that currently serve that space are dinosaurs. And they haven't really kept up with the advancements in technology. And so it allows companies like InfoSystems to put together a team, start up a new company, launch this technology, and go to market really quickly. But I'd like to add a few logos to this, especially after this year when we get that new company started up.
I would love that. Now, do you guys here, do you know if you have the gig or what? That's
we
awesome.
do. We have EPB service, and actually, especially in the facility, like the data center facilities where we host customer workloads. This equipment behind us looks pretty impressive, but this is pretty small compared to what we're actually doing in data center facilities. This is mostly InfoSystems workloads. We don't really host customer workloads out of this building because we require a much higher level of security and availability for customer workloads. And but
awesome.
So we even have to have multiple internet providers and connections so that if one's happens to go down, the customers are still up on a completely different internet circuit. So we, the places we do business with, they'll have multiple power sources, multiple internet sources, generators, multiple really high-level sophisticated HVAC systems. I mean, it's top notch. And there's
understandably so.
There's data center operations opening up all around our region right now, and that's a huge driver for the local economy too. Data center facilities don't really require a high number of employees, but you talk about consuming a lot of power and resources, and I'm sure EPB is more than happy to supply those needs too.
That's one sector in our business that we're looking at growing, and we see the need. A whole lot. But I thought I would share this with you for you to just kind of see the companies that some of who were started here, some of who moved here.
This is a great story to tell. And one of the other things that seems to have happened, and I don't know if this, I'm sure there was intentionality behind it, but maybe some organically as well. You look at like CoLab and then what the city has done with the Innovation District and the Edney building and what the incubator has done over there. And there are so many places now where people with either startup ideas or people who are in the midst of, starting and growing companies within their first few years. There are so many places now for them to plug in
Exactly.
and learn about, okay, what resources are available for me in the community here?
Yeah.
Where am I going to find talent to staff once we start growing? What technologies can I, use? And we've built such a fantastic ecosystem here. I don't know, I don't know that every city has that. Maybe they do. But I think we're well ahead of the curve, and I'm sure EPB played a major role in a lot of this.
And if we want to continue competing with other cities in attracting industry and leveraging the assets, retaining business here, because some of these companies, honestly, bellhops, they're getting recruited to go up, out west. Right?
Yeah.
They've got the opportunities as they go and raise funds. They're told, hey, we'll invest in you, but come and relocate out west. So they do have choices, and so we want to make sure that we keep them here. We help them grow here, and that helps our local economy. But I'll go back to your question earlier. You said, where are we now, or where do you foresee specific to tech? I'll share this with you. This is not public, but it is going to be public very soon here within the next month.
So I get advanced.
So you do get advanced
access to some good information here. All right.
But given our conversation, I thought it would be great. This will be public. This is a Chamber's 5-year economic development strategy called Chattanooga Climbs. The framework is around 3 things: future ready, jobs for all, and gig city wins. And under Gig City wins, to our conversation today, Chattanooga and Hampton County's entrepreneurial momentum hits a new high, with startups and small businesses driving the local economy. They'll drill deeper. The consultants from Austin, Texas are going to drill deeper into target industries. And the intel that I've gotten thus far, as you know, low-hanging fruit is logistics, right? Look at what Freight Waves is doing. Look at what Steam Logistics. We just had the announcement last week with Arrive Logistics.
Right. What was that? 500 more jobs.
500 more jobs here within the next 3 years.
Yeah.
And Arrive Logistics have an office in Texas, in Austin, have an office in Chicago, and they've opened their third location. In Chattanooga. And so. We see logistics as low-hanging fruit, and those guys, the folks in the logistics world, know each other.
Yeah.
And so Freight Waves, with what Craig Fuller has done, he's really helped us bring them together, and we've involved them in this conversation, and they're going to give us leads on complementary logistics companies that would do well here in Chattanooga. The other thing tech-related is healthcare.
Yeah.
We've got the 7th largest public hospital here in Chattanooga with Erlanger. We've also got Memorial in Park Ridge, and we've got Oak Ridge National Lab right down the street. And so, and then you have the gig, and specific to EPB, we get from our smart meters, every 15 minutes, we get data.
Oh yeah.
Customer data. And so with a supercomputer right down the road, an hour and a half, Oak Ridge is just salivating, just waiting for this. What can the supercomputer do?
Yeah.
So,
by the way, you know what the supercomputer at Oak Ridge is?
The Summit.
It's IBM Power computers that are clustered together, and it's now the fastest supercomputer in the world. And that's one differentiator between InfoSystems and other IT companies around our region is we are an IBM Power partner. So we can build those types of advanced computers for, like, let's say a Freight Waves that's dealing with massive amounts of data that they're pulling in. And in those instances, using public cloud or things like that can be expensive, it can be slow. And we've got the capabilities to build out those type, like the Summit type of supercomputers for any company that would want to make that investment in AI and data intelligence and things like that.
So I think once we get the industry targets, you'll see healthcare, you'll see logistics. those are the two that I know for sure. And then, of course, we look around the existing business and what can we do around from the supplier with the Volkswagen announcement, and their expansion. What to do around there? We are not going to see, because of the lack of land, we're not going to see landing another Volkswagen or 2 or 3 of those. So here within the next year is focusing on what's around those bigs, industry targets, leveraging our community assets, right?
Yeah.
And then looking at our partnerships. What more can we do around UTC? What more can we do around Oak Ridge National Lab, which is again an hour and a half down the road. They've got an office at EPB. So there's a guy here every week from Oak Ridge trying to engage businesses and education folks. Yeah.
So this podcast is really geared toward the local business leaders, small, mid-sized business leaders. Yeah. This is probably less of a technical podcast as far as talking about the in-depth technologies that companies use, and just talking more about technology and how it's impacting our community. So, we've got the ear of a lot of local business leaders who are interested in staying up to speed on what's happening in Chattanooga, what's happening in technology in our region. And one of the things I think is important with, and this plays into the whole business and economic growth of our region, is my message to these, and this is self-serving obviously for InfoSystems, but my message is do business locally, or at least regionally. If you have IT needs, or if you need to build out new capabilities for your company, and you're going to have to invest in new technology, bring in a regional company to do that business with, because you're keeping our dollars here. I mean, I heard a presentation recently by Charles Wood, and you know Charles really well. He's the VP of Economic Development for the Chattanooga Chamber of Commerce, and his big message when he does a presentation is, we want to keep our dollars here and get dollars from other communities and bring those to Chattanooga.
True.
So if we can empower local businesses to do business locally, and empower local businesses to sell outside of our region, then we're going to grow economically, because we're sucking in more dollars into our region and keeping our own dollars here. And so, my big message is, there's some fantastic, InfoSystems isn't the only one. There's some fantastic IT and technology companies. On your chart here, you've got Squid and Freight Waves and companies like that are providing some fantastic technology to businesses to use in their day-to-day operations. And use those businesses. If you're based here in East Tennessee or even Middle Tennessee, do business regionally. And I also, when I think about the local business leader, and now we've got their ear, they're listening to this podcast, I want to know also, what does Hodgen Mainda want that local or regional business leader to know? How do they plug in and help you do your job to grow, in economic development for EPB? How do they help you do your job, and what do you really want to see long-term for our community and business participation?
So one thing our community does well, I think, is our collaborative approach. When there's a problem or somebody needs something, we've got this welcoming, embracing, and a collaborative approach on problem solving or wanting to see success. And so, to answer your question, a message to the business owners, the audience, our hub, our convener, I think, and again, I'm not speaking on behalf of the chamber, but I feel that that's our hub, right? That's where we convene. That's where a lot of conversations are had. They'll bring leaders to the table, and we'll talk about economic growth or higher ed and workforce development needs and whatnot. So I think engaging with the chamber in some form or fashion was valuable to a local business. Know what your chamber's doing, especially we've got great I believe, great new leadership with our chamber. Engage and see what they're doing and how can you plug in, because if the chamber does well with recruiting business not only to Chattanooga but the region, because there's also a regional approach, local businesses, you'll be able to do business with those guys. And so I highly encourage, and again, I know there's some people who are like, oh, another Chamber of Commerce thing. No, but I think the chamber, if your chamber is doing really well, they're convening and they're having the right conversations. So in some form or fashion, plug in with your local chamber.
It's hard to be critical of our local chamber today. I mean, 15 years ago, you might have mentioned Chattanooga Chamber and people might have thought, oh, well, it's just this business networking thing. The same people are always there. And it's, I don't really go do that stuff. They don't do anything for my company. Starting 15 years ago until now, if you look at their recent success,
totally different.
There's no criticism there.
Totally different.
Oh man, look, they recruited Volkswagen, they recruited Wacker, they recruited Amazon, they recruited all of these logistics. We just talked about Arrive?
Arrive Logistics,
That's 500 people who are going to be joining our community, who are going to be going to restaurants, going to shops to buy things,
renting and buying homes,
going to the grocery store, putting their kids into schools. I mean, obviously, we see the benefit of Chattanooga Chamber now, and you mentioned the collaboration. I do think Chattanooga, especially with EPB, with the chamber, with the Hamilton County and some of the other stakeholders there, have done a fantastic job of collaborating to. So when I look at the chamber, I'm thinking, how do I plug in and help? Because the more companies that move to our community, the more opportunities I'm going to have to do business with more companies.
And also you get intel on what's going on around the community. You get real time. This is a company that got recruited here. There may be an opportunity for your business, right? So you just never know. But I love the collaborative approach that we have. I love what the chamber is doing, and I'll just give a plug to our community right now. I look around, I look at the school system, K-12, our school superintendent. We've been fortunate to land him, and I personally think, seeing the work that he's doing and the vision he has for the school system, I hope our community continues supporting him. Because he needs the support in order to be successful. We've got, a handful of failing schools, and there's a lot of work around that. But it all comes down to leadership. I think we've got great leadership at Chattanooga State. We've got great leadership at UTC. And so you look at education space, I think we are really good there, right? You look at the chamber, I think we've got great. Christy's in her second year. She's awesome, and she's surrounded herself, her senior staff and the folks there, really great. She's brought some new folks, and they're doing some really good jobs. And then you look at, city and county government. We've got our mayors, who we need to have them at the table and bought in with a lot of the decisions that the private sector is making. So from a community standpoint, I think we do have some improvements that we can make, because we're never perfect, but we're as good as it gets right now, with pretty much folks on the same page with the direction they want to see Chattanooga go. And my point there is, you've got to have the right leaders. Right?
Absolutely. Leadership is crucial. And we're fortunate, and not just the leaders who are in place now, but if you think back over the last 50 years of Chattanooga and Hamilton County, we've had some fantastic leaders who this city would not be having this type of conversation today if it was not for those people who paved the way for us.
Totally agree.
We have to carry it forward. I say we as in the younger group of leaders in our region. But I think, Hodgen, fantastic perspective from you today. Hearing from where you sit at EPB, the work you're doing with those organizations and governments that are all trying to drive forward Chattanooga as a fantastic place to do business and place for people to live and grow. Obviously, lots of challenges. And if I can get semi-political for a second. Hopefully, Chattanooga can rise above what we see in Washington D.C. and around the country in the divisive,
politics,
polarized positions that people are taking on all types of issues. And my hope for Chattanooga is that we can work together at the same table and collaborate on solutions to all of the challenges that our community faces, instead of moving away from each other and pointing fingers and yelling and calling names. And hopefully the leadership that we have in place is on board with that as well. I think they are. So.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. We've got to stay away from being divisive. If we are, as you know, Josh, and I'll echo what you said, we're not going to be able to have success. And so fortunately we've stayed away from that, and hopefully we will continue down that path of staying away from divisive politics.
It sort of makes you, if you talk to most Chattanoogans, they're proud to be a Chattanoogan. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and hopefully we continue to be able to say, I'm proud to be a Chattanoogan, instead of, man, this place is miserable, or,
Exactly,
it could go bad.
And there are many families like ours, like I mentioned earlier, I'm originally from Nairobi, Kenya, moved to the States to go to college, had a choice to move back to Kenya, but my parents said, just go graduate, make us proud, and you can come back and we'll try and get you a job, or you can stay there. And I decided to stay here. My 22 years in the States, I've been in Tennessee, did middle, I did east in Knoxville, and moved to Chattanooga about 10 years ago. And thought I wasn't going to be here long, but 10 plus years later, here I am, married to Amber from Wisconsin. And now have 2 kids, and we're both not from here. We don't have family here, but we love Chattanooga.
You do have family here. I mean, you have an extended family here.
We do have an extended family,
great friends and great colleagues and things like that, which makes it a lot easier when you don't have direct family here.
But when immediate family visits, they love Chattanooga. And they've been visiting for a while now, and I've seen the growth. Whenever we go out to eat, I'm taking them to new restaurants and new places to see, and they're like, man, this city is growing. So we get those comments. So.
Well, that's awesome. We're getting pretty long on the episode, so I'll save rambling pain for anybody out there who's listening. And I think that was some great perspective, a great discussion. And for anyone who is interested in learning more about what EPB is doing in the community, how do they go get information to learn about what are you guys doing, and how can they get plugged in?
So we have a lot. We're actually redoing our website. Our marketing team is working on that, and part of what we got from J.D. Power, who again ranked us first with customer service for I think the 3rd or 4th year in a row. Part of the feedback they gave us was, EPB, man, you guys are doing so much in the community and so involved. Tell your story. And we just wake up in the every day and give good service and excellent service to our customers, but we need to tell our story with what we're doing. And so on our website here, within the next 2 to 3 months, we're going to have about the community, or a community page to where everything from our environmental stewardship initiatives, anything to the entrepreneurial work that we're doing, our partnership with the chamber, that information will be there. In the interim, feel free to call me. My email address is, or email me at maindahm, MAINDAHM @epb.net, and I'll be able to give you any information that you need.
So there you go. Hodgen has openly invited you to get in touch to learn about EPB and all of the fantastic things that they're pushing into our community, and the way they're working with us. And I can't say enough about what a fantastic job I think you have done, just in a short period of time at EPB. But looking over your 10 years in Chattanooga and the careers that you've transitioned through. You know, you've done a fantastic job contributing to the local community.
Well, thank you.
And so, you know, we were in Leadership Chattanooga together.
Yeah.
It's been a long time ago now.
Yeah.
I feel old, but you know, that yet again another program from the chamber that is top notch and very valuable for business leaders to get involved in. So. Looking forward to seeing all of the wonderful things you guys do through the 2040, the Velocity 2040 project, and the 5-year visioning and all of
Chattanooga
this.
Climbs,
Chattanooga Climbs. This is going to be great. So, and here's my prediction for. You talk about the EPB website and how you're going to tell more community-focused stories on there. I've made a prediction recently to people that I know about the way media is going to change. I think locally focused media is going to grow tremendously over the next couple of years. You know, with streaming services, you've got Netflix and Hulu and all of this stuff, and then you've got things like YouTube that are just sort of this. You can't even begin to navigate everything that's on YouTube. But I think there's going to be some major growth in local stories pushed out. You know, maybe it's as documentaries or news programming or podcasts and all of it. I think, you know, we started this podcast a year and a half ago, and I've already seen dozens of others pop up in Chattanooga over that time. And I think in the next few years, locally focused storytelling is going to explode on the scene as a major driver of, you know, media consumption.
Yeah. I totally agree. And if you will let me give a quick plug for EPB, I would not be doing my job if I did not do that. So a couple things. Number one, we recently, as Josh mentioned earlier, we just celebrated 100,000 customers. But in addition to that, we were thanking our community, and we increased gigabit speeds recently. I don't know whether you saw that.
How do you miss it?
I know.
I mean, it was everywhere.
And also, we do have a promotion to where if you are an existing customer and you could upgrade to the gig for $57.99 a month. So that's one promotion that we are currently going through. But internally, you were talking, and it reminded me to talk about this. You were talking about the change in specific to video. Which is part of what we provide. So look out for some announcements that we're going to be having here within the next 3 to 6 months on our services. It's going to be really exciting, but I can't announce that because we're still but we're in the final stages. So, but it's around what you just said. Because so there's that, and you know you have the gig, and so we're looking at the services we provide. How do they leverage you having the gig? In addition to the video services, we're looking at kind of the home automation, Internet of Things. You know, how do you maybe from your EPB app can control your Alexa, your garage, your temperature, and all these things. And so there's some exciting things on the horizon, EPB specific, that I can.
Well,
really
if there's one thing
about.
I can guarantee the audience, and I think everyone knows this, it's, you know, EPB didn't build the gig network to just stop and say, okay, look what a great job we've done. We're over. You guys are going to keep pushing forward. So, and that's great news for our community. So, Hodgen, thanks for being a guest today. Fantastic, and I'll look forward to all of the good feedback we get from this episode.
Thanks for having me, Josh. Enjoyed it.